Is it that time again? Is it that time again? Yes, it is. It's another Eagles game day morning. The first Eagles game day morning of the 2019-2020 season. And of course, this is Season of the Fan, the 6th season, kicking it off. I kicked it off in the last video, but this is the official kickoff for Season of the Fan, the Philadelphia Eagles 2019-2020 season. The 6th season of the Fan. I got my D-Jacks jersey on for the first game day of 2019. See, I didn't get rid of it after he left, okay? That was stupid Chip Kelly's fault. But we don't have to worry about those years anymore. So the Eagles are kicking it off today, 1 o'clock Eastern, at the Link against Washington, the division foe. And I know that, you know, right now I'm making my breakfast, the most important meal of the day. Stranger Things. There you go. But, no, I understand all of the, the worries, the concerns, the nervousness, going into the nervous excitement, going into the season. And the big talk for the past few weeks is, did the starters play enough in the preseason? Why didn't they play certain guys? We haven't seen certain guys, certainly number 11. Wasn't out there. And to that, I'll say, does anybody even remember what they did the preseason when they won the Super Bowl? No one remembers the preseason. I get it. I mean, it is a concern because obviously Wentz coming off the back injury a year ago. How's he going to look? How's he going to gel with all these weapons that they have? I mean, this could be a really historic season for an offensive unit. But at the same time, it's like, look, the guy is not like he's a rookie. He has played in this league before. He has played Washington before, played them pretty good. And in fact, I know the year they won the Super Bowl 52, just a few seasons back, the season started against Washington. In Washington that time, the Eagles got off to a 1-0 start and, kind of took it from there. And, is it a concern that he hasn't played in the preseason and all? I get it. And I would say, mildly for me, because the guy has been in the league for a while. I mean, you're not going to throw a lot of defenses at him. He's not going to be ready for, And I will say this, and with all due respect to Washington, and hey, look, respect the division opponents. A lot of times those are going to be tough games and, close games and whatnot, but it's not like they're playing the Patriots, week 1. It's not like they're playing the Steelers. They're not at New Orleans or something like this. They're not playing one of these teams. With all due respect to Washington, they're playing Washington, okay? Now, it is, again, like I said, respect your division opponents, respect these games. They're not going to overlook Washington, okay? But the fact is they're playing a Redskins team who offensively, look, they could surprise, but offensively they don't have a lot of weapons. I mean, they have Case Keenum as their quarterback, okay? The last time Case Keenum was in this stadium, I think we all remember what happened. Now, it was some years ago. It was with a different team. It was a little higher stakes at that game. But the Eagles took care of him, okay? They're not playing Tom Brady today. They're not playing, one of these upper echelon quarterbacks. Always, respect who you're playing, but they are playing against a guy who they should be able to beat. This defensive front should be able to get pressure on Case Keenum because the Redskins' offensive line was basically put together overnight, okay? It's not that good. And one of the strengths of this defense is their front, is the defensive line. And I understand Fletcher Cox didn't play in the preseason, and, how's he going to look and everything. Again, he's a veteran. Okay, he's a veteran. I think Fletcher knows how to play his position. Okay? He's done pretty good at that over the years. It's what, Aaron Donald and Fletcher Cox, 1 and 1A, and if you want to swap, I mean, whatever. Okay? They're the two best defensive linemen in the league. Okay? Defensive tackles in the league. So Fletcher, certainly right there. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be able to put pressure on Case Keenum along with the rest of the defensive front. And that's what you got to do. You got to get pressure on Keenum. He is a bit of a mobile quarterback, but you got to be able to keep pressure on him. And look, I mean, we haven't seen Geis. Obviously, he was a rookie last season, got hurt in the preseason, didn't play the entire season, so we haven't seen this guy. But the Eagles are pretty good against the run, and if Washington is going to lean against the run, I think the Eagles will be okay. Obviously, they have guys. They have AP, the old man, still there. Our old friend Wendell Smallwood. saying he wants to ball out against. Okay, Wendell, when you get the ball, you'll be able to ball out. Okay, listen, Wendell, you know the Eagles, but the Eagles know you too. Okay, so 1 second here as I open this bag of Eggo. No, I'm not. I would be a little more concerned. If we were playing a more powerhouse type offense, with the fact that a lot of the Eagles starters did not play in the preseason, did not get those all-important preseason reps. Okay, I would be a little more concerned if we were playing a better offense to start the season, but we are playing the Redskins, and for what it's worth, again, I will say this over and over again, respect your opponent, particularly a division rival, but the Redskins offense isn't this great powerhouse. Now look, who knows, this is a whole new season, they have a new quarterback, they have some new players there, but I'm not that concerned about the Redskins offense at this point, Now I'm saying that just after 10 o'clock a.m., before the game started. I get that, but, again, I think that this is a team defensively that the Eagles should be able to handle. Offensively, look, I agree. I think, some of the concerns about the offense and about the fact that, this offense could get off to a slow start, even though they have a ton of weapons, including the return of number 10. And I get that, but at the same time, do I expect this offense to come out and score touchdowns the first 3-4 drives? Even me, the most hardened of Eagles fans, is not going to, say that. But at the same time, I mean, could they struggle right out of the bat because they haven't got those preseason reps? The start, possibly. I mean, maybe the first few series, maybe they do get off to a bit of a slow start, but I think as the game progresses, as we get to the second quarter, second half, as some people have said, I do agree with. I mean, if they do get off to a bit of a slow start, come the second quarter, second half, I think they get in gear. And look, there's much too much talent on this offense for the whole game, to just get shut down. I mean, I do believe that they're going to put up the points. I think this could be one of those games that, as you see a lot of teams coming out in week 1 of a regular season, even those teams who did play starters in the preseason get off and struggle in week 1 because it is tough. I mean, right off the bat to have that cohesiveness, you might not have it even if you did play starters in preseason. It happens across the board in the NFL. I mean, how many times in week 1 do we see these games of these teams that should be playing better and they get off to a slow start? And even though they did play in the preseason, happens all the time. So do I expect the Eagles to come out and just dominate right from the start and just look crisp and perfect right from the start? No. But I think as the game goes on, the offensive talent that's on this team will take over. And the fact that the defense should be able to hold the Redskins offense at bay while the offense starts to gets going into gear and starts to click. So yeah, I definitely think it could be a game, and I say could be a game that the always gotta have hot sauce, And by the way, cheesesteak. So it's only in Philly, right? But get your hot sauce ready. But no, I do believe that they could get off to a bit of a sluggish start offensively. Look, there's a lot of new pieces. There's players, finding that rhythm, finding that cohesiveness. But I think, again, like I said, this offense is going to be really good this season, and they have weapons galore. It's only a matter of time before they really get it going into gear. And I do believe it could be a slow start out of the chute today. But once they get going, I mean, they're going to be, as unstoppable an offense as you're going to find in the league. There's just so many weapons. To that point, yes, Washington, I think one of their strengths is defensively. They do have some good players on that side of the ball. Obviously, we see Mr. Kerrigan every year get to our quarterback. But, there goes another. But the fact of the matter is that, yes, I mean, they do have a decent defense. They have a stout front. They're pretty good. They have some talent. They have some playmakers on that side of the ball. Could they make some plays? Yeah, they could. But I think as the game progresses, as the game goes on, again, the offensive talent of this offense will take over and end up walking away with a victory. I think this, it's going to be one of those games where we're kind of nervous early, where there's some, tension. It's a close game. Who knows? Probably even at halftime be a close game. But as the second half goes on and we get into that, we get to that fourth quarter, I think the Eagles are going to start to pull away and walk away with a double-digit victory. They get off to a 1-0 start on this season, as they did a couple years ago when they won the Super Bowl. I know they got off to a 1-0 start last year, but a couple years ago against Washington, they got off to a 1-0 start, and we know how that season ended in confetti. So it's a good omen to get off to a 1-0 start against Washington as your first opponent on the season, as we knew from a few seasons ago. But anyhow, that's my take. I'm making my breakfast, and I'm also having a buddy over today to watch the game, Tony. We're going to be in the man cave down there watching this game. I got my... They brought them luck a few years ago during the Super Bowl run, so I got my Eagles Tostitos, another luck bag. I don't know if it's going to be as lucky as that one bag was, but Eagles Tostitos here, and I also got my, from Acme, Eagles cookies. So, we're ready. Certainly for this season, I know Eagles Nation is counting down the minutes now, counting down the hours, counting down the minutes, for game day to officially begin at the Link, 1 o'clock Eastern time against those Washington Redskins. So, anyhow, as always, go Birds, and I'll see you after the game, hopefully with Tony, and we'll try to break down an Eagles victory to get off to a 1-0 start. All those concerns about the preseason, go away. No one remembers the preseason when it gets to December. No one remembered the preseason the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, okay? When they were hoisting the Lombardi, it's not like people were saying, remember that preseason? Come on. Enough. Stop. Worrying. Worry. The fan base worries a little too much sometimes, I think. So just enough. We're talking about preseason, not a regular season. Not a regular season. We talk about preseason. All right. Go Birds. Get off to that big 1-0 start, and let's get rolling. Well, that game went just as expected, didn't it? We all expected to start the game that the Eagles would be down 17-0, and then find a way to pull it together to get a victory. Yeah. I guess it wasn't a huge shock to most of us in Eagles Nation that the Eagles got off a bit sluggish offensively, defensively too, but got off to a rough start. I mean, Vernon Davis makes a play that 9 times out of 10, guy's going to get tackled, but the Eagles forgot to tackle on that play, and he goes in for a touchdown, and, I mean, is what it is. Redskins on their first drive are up 7-0. Eagles offense comes out. They get a first down, but then the drive stalls. Punt. Redskins get the ball. Redskins go down the field. They're up 10-0. And then, before you know it, it's then a 17-0 game. And Case Keenum hit the rookie, I'm blanking on his name, receiver, who he could have hit later in the game too for a touchdown, but missed the throw. But hit him for a touchdown, and it's 17-0. And I'm sitting here in the man cave and watching the game with my buddy Tony, and we're sitting here, and shout out to Tony, and we're sitting here and we're scratching our heads and saying, well, why in the world are we not trying what the Redskins just did? Go deep. It was just the offense to start, I felt was very vanilla, very kind of dink and dunk and not really taking a lot of chances. And I get it, Carson, you want to get him in the flow, so you're gonna go with the short passes and the kind of sure thing passes and the, going to try to establish a running game, which the Eagles had trouble running the ball early. Give credit to the Redskins defense for, shutting the run down. Both teams couldn't really run the ball. for that matter, for a good chunk of the game. And then so what happens? It's 17-0. It's 3rd and 10. Things are looking very dicey at this time, and then here comes the bomb to Djax. And Carson, his first career touchdown to Deshaun Jackson, and the Eagles get on the board. Yes, welcome back, Djax. Festive's very happy about that, and also the Eagles are 1-0. Festive's happy about that too. So just wanted to put that there, but no, welcome back, Djax. Of course, he gets the big touchdown, and it gets some momentum going, if anything else. But then, of course, before the half, Redskins get a field goal, so now it's a 20-7 game at halftime, and you're sitting there, I wasn't shocked that the Eagles offensively were just very kind of lackadaisical. Aside from the Deshaun Jackson bomb, and I'm just sitting there going, they got to pull this thing, they got to pull this thing together. Hopefully they're having a good, halftime, interesting speech there from the coaching staff, because get your acts together, guys. I'm not for nothing, and it's the old saying, right? Any given Sunday, you don't take any team for granted, particularly division foes. Anything can happen in any week. And, this was one of those kind of, shocker scores at the end of the first half of the early games, 20-7, Washington over Philly. But that's how it can happen. You're playing a division opponent, like I said, anything's possible. If you're not ready to play, that's what can happen, 20-7. And it could have been worse than that. So the Eagles kind of, did dodge a few bullets there. Redskins, 20 points. Maybe could have been more, but you know what? Took it 20-7. They were still in command of this game. And then the second half happened. And the Eagles offense certainly woke up in the second half, played really well. Carson Wentz looked really good. Offense looking good. They started running the ball. And how did that happen, right? How did that second half differ from what they were trying to do in the first half? Well, obviously, some of the plays were there. They were able to make, more plays and have more success. And part of that is because they were able to run the ball a little more effectively. Now, was it tremendous? No. Were there huge gashes open? No. But they were able to establish a run game, and that opened things up in the passing game. So then you saw guys starting to get a little more open. Some of the plays were there. And you still have to make the plays. But they were able to do that. And, of course, here we are again, 3rd and 10. Carson Wentz hits Djax for the go-ahead score. Now, before that, obviously, Eagles got the lead. Alshon Jeffrey on another 3rd down. By the way, all 3 touchdown passes by Carson Wentz were on 3rd down. That's pretty good. All right, so twice 3rd and 10, bombs to Djax, and the other one in the red zone, a 3rd down play on a pass, on a beautiful pass. Tough pass. Right there, right in the breadbasket of Alshon, who made the catch. And at that point, it made it, I believe, what was it, a 20-14 game. And then the second Djax touchdown went for, gave the Eagles the, at the time, tied it, and then the extra point game, the 21-20 lead. The Eagles will score another touchdown on a rushing touchdown by Alshon Jeffrey, and eventually go ahead. The Redskins got a very late touchdown, which the bettors weren't happy about. Unless you went with the Redskins with the points in the game. But, at the end of the day, it's a 32-27 Eagles win. And, yes, 1-0. And I've always said this, and I will always say this. I don't care how you win, just win, right? The old Oakland Raiders saying, the old Al Davis saying, right? Just win, baby. Just win. That's all I care about. At the end of the day, you get a win, and there were minimal injuries. So, okay, and I know that there are fans, I should say, within the Eagles Nation who still have concerns about Carson Wentz, who still say, well, he hasn't had a game-winning drive, he can't do this, he hasn't done this, he hasn't done that, blah, blah, blah. Well, let me tell you, and I know, look, the team played much better in the second half. And certainly on defense, they started establishing themselves, getting more pressure on Case Keenum, stopping the Redskins' run, basically from start to finish. making them one-dimensional. And obviously, once the Eagles started getting ahead and ahead, the Redskins just had to throw the ball. And at that point, now look, there was a big missed opportunity, a big missed overthrow by Keenum. That, again, that rookie receiver, I'm blanking on his name, scored the touchdown earlier, but did not hook up on that play. But at the same point, you got to give some credit to number 11 as well, because Carson, pretty good game. 313 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And that's a big reason why this team was able to come back from a 17-0 deficit. Not just, Carson making plays, but no turnovers, no interceptions, no fumbles. At least no fumbles lost for the Eagles. No fumbles, no interceptions. Quarterback played pretty clean, particularly in the second half where they made that comeback. And on back-to-back drives to start the second half, it went for touchdowns. Give them the lead, and then we saw what happened the rest of the way. Again, I understand the sentiment with Nick Foles. I get that. The guy won a Super Bowl, first in franchise history. We all remember what happened. Case Keenum remembers what happened that year. Last time he was on this field was in the NFC title game as a Viking, losing in pretty convincing fashion to Nick Foles and the Eagles. But at the same time, and I said this before, and I don't want to keep bringing this up, but I said this before, it's the right decision that they made to get to let Nick Foles has a chance with another team to be a starter. And it was a shame to see him get hurt today. Broken collarbone. He's going to miss probably significant time getting surgery. I think it's kind of ironic. Everyone's talking about, I don't mean this in a light way at all, but people are talking about, Carson Wentz with the injuries, and Nick Foles makes one start as a Jaguar and he gets the broken collarbone. But on a touchdown throw, Nick, get better. Hopefully he comes back, before the end of the season. I don't know. Broken collarbone can be quite some time. He is getting surgery tomorrow, but we'll see what happens there. How long he'll be out for. It is a shame. It is. But at the same time, again, Carson Wentz is the quarterback. He is the guy that should have been here. If you're going to go between the two, if one had to go and the other had to stay, they made the right decision. And I get it. Nick Foles did a lot of good for this franchise. Even before winning the Super Bowl. A lot of good with this franchise. But you look at the situation going forward, it's number 11. And again, today, and I know, look, you can only play who you play. It was the Redskins, and I know on paper, the Redskins aren't expected to do much this season. They're supposed to be like a 3rd or 4th place team in the division. Paper is what it is, we all know. But going into the season, there's not a lot of, pomp and circumstance for the Redskins. But at the same time, it's still a division opponent, and they jumped you 17-0. A comeback was made, and part of that comeback was number 11 getting it done. Again, no interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 313 yards. He was efficient. He played well. I know at first it was, it was up and down, But if you look around the league today and you see some of the scores and you see some of the teams who were supposed to have these huge blowout wins and didn't, either they lost the game or it was a much closer game than it could have been, that's week 1 in the NFL. That's just how it is. That's why it takes a few weeks, for some of these teams, even some of these powerhouse teams like the Patriots to get going. And they play guys in the preseason. Okay? Other teams play guys in the preseason, and they still get off the sluggish starts. Okay? And so that was the huge topic of discussion going into this week, going into this game. Why, these guys didn't play in the preseason. Carson Wentz didn't play in the preseason. How's he going to look? And I know they came out, and part of it, I think, was the play calling. I think they were a little too conservative at first. They weren't taking a lot of shots downfield, and I'm sitting here with Tony, and we're both looking at one another and going, with all these weapons, you got D-Jax on one side, you got Alshon, you got Aguilar in the slot, you got the tight ends. Why are you not going deep? What is this? Exactly what the Redskins did to go up 17-0. We should be doing that. Well, very next series they did. So, yeah, it's a game of adjustments. And it's also, the understanding that, Carson's playing for the first time in a while. I get the preseason. I understand that. But at the same time, he's playing for the first time in how many months, right, as a starter. Now, he's back at the reins, as it were. So the first few series is kind of I would call it vanilla offense, dinking, dunking, not really taking a lot of shots downfield, kind of feeling out the Redskins' defense too. And then when the shots were there to be taken, they took them and they were successful for the most part. And again, 17-0 hole. They go ahead, they win the game 32-27. Very late fourth quarter touchdown by the Redskins. Only thing that really hurt were the people who bet the game on the Eagles side with the points. That's why I don't bet. But yes, I know Festive wants to make sure that people know that the Festive Four was 3-1 this week. So after an 0-1 start, 3-0 on Sunday. So that was, yes, very good job there, Festive. And we'll get back to another Festive Four going into week 2. So look for that in the next vid. But again, as I was saying, yeah, I mean, a lot of it I thought was play calling. There were some plays that were missed. I know some balls were a little high, some balls were a little low. But as the flow of the game started, second half went going, and as I said in the morning, as I was making breakfast, is I wouldn't be shocked if this offense is sluggish out of the gate, come out, maybe it even takes a half for them to get going. And as we saw, what happened? It took a half, right? They made one big play in the first half to D-Jacks, and then it really was all Redskins aside from that. Second half, it was all Eagles. And the Eagles established themselves, their dominance from that first drive in the third quarter for the rest of the game. And really the Redskins, that was pretty much it from that point on. There were things in this game. Look, it wasn't all, rainbows and sunshine, okay? There were things, of course, that were a little worrisome in this game. And again, some of it I think you can attribute to week 1. But at the same point, we do see some of the same issues with Jim Schwartz's defense, with the defensive calls, not putting more pressure on a quarterback on third downs, not bringing as many blitzes as possibly he should be bringing. The picket fence defense on third and longs. Yeah, they didn't convert a lot of those third and longs. They did convert one at the very end there on the last drive. What was it, the running play or whatever? But for the most part. But still, I mean, you're going to see that. I think there was there was opportunities to get some turnovers. Darby had an interception go in and out of the hands. But at the same time, I mean, look, this is where the front's got to get more pressure. The defensive line has got to do a better job. And I thought at times today, and it is week 1, and we can gripe here and there about things, but there was times in the first half where the defensive front was not asserting their dominance on the Redskins, patchwork offensive line, which I thought they should have done a much better job with at the start of the game. The Redskins actually dictated play. I mean, they were winning time of possession. They were keeping drives going, third down conversions, ending their finishing plays, basically. And their offensive line, I mean, give them credit. For the first half, they played pretty good. Second half, though, different story. As it was for the offense, it was for the defense. The defensive line was able to get more pressure on Case Keenum, made him throw the ball quicker than he wanted to. The running game, again, for Washington, non-existent in this one. And the defense played much better in the second half. They gave up a late fourth quarter touchdown. That was the only points they gave up. They gave up 20 points in the first half and 7 points in the second half. So much better across the board. Were there still things that we'd like to see, tightened up here and there? Absolutely. Again, some of those throws that were missed by Case Keenum, you're playing Matt Ryan next week in Atlanta. And believe me, if he has a streaking, Ridley going down the field, Matt Ryan's not going to miss that throw. 9 out of 10 times. That throw that Case Keenum overthrew today, Matt Ryan's going to hit that throw. Weeks from now, we got Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is going to hit that throw. Russell Wilson's going to hit that throw. And I know I'm talking about some of the best, out there. But at the same time, yeah, the coverages have to be better. The coverages must be better downfield. Because, yeah, I mean, a lot of the strength of this defense is up front, but if they're not getting to the quarterback, you have to be better in the secondary. And going forward, this secondary has to play better. I think for the most part, it was not a great game by the secondary because there was guys getting open much too often. I mean, you're talking about rookie receivers for the Redskins getting open left and right. There was a lot of plays that were there, and there were plays that were missed. You know, that again, a better quarterback's going to make those throws. So you got to get better pressure on the opposing quarterback, particularly the better quarterbacks. Guys like Matt Ryan next Sunday night, going forward, Aaron Rodgers, Wilson. It doesn't even matter if it's those guys or guys like Case Keenum going forward or whoever else they're going to play, sustained pressure. I know no defense does it the entire game, okay? But you got to find a way to get that sustained pressure and get home when you're able to get shots at the quarterback. You got to get them. You got to stop drives. And that's something that we were all just shaking our heads last year and pulling our hair out and going, what the heck, what is the hell with this picket fence defense on 3rd and longs, and why aren't they blitzing more? Why aren't they having more, getting more pressure on the opposing quarterbacks and letting them have all day back there to throw? And you saw some of that today. And obviously it's Jim Schwartz's philosophy. It's going to drive us nuts. I don't think anything's going to change from that. I think it's still going to go. But at the same time, I'm hoping that there's enough playmaker in this defensive line that can make those plays. And again, it comes down to the secondary making plays too. You got to cover better. So we'll see. Again, it's week 1. Some of those plays that weren't made by the defense today, maybe they're made going forward. Some of those throws that may have been missed, may have been high, whatever, for Carson Wentz going forward. Maybe those are better going forward in these games. Again, I think the guy is a tremendous young quarterback in this league. I know he's had some injury issues. That's well documented. Hey, look, through 1 week, he's healthy. Through 1 week, it's 313 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a comeback win, down 17-0. Yes, at home against a team that you should beat. But you're down 17-0, you got to give some credit to number 11. That was a comeback win. It wasn't a game-winning drive, but it was a comeback victory in the second half of the game when they were down 20-7 when the second half started. Okay? So again, Eagles get the win, 32-27. They are, 1-0 on the season. In fact, every season in the Doug Peterson era, the Eagles have started 1-0 to start the season. And I believe only once they went 2-0 after that. So we'll see. Next week, look, tough game. Atlanta. The Dirty Birds, of course, their home opener. They're going to be fired up for the game. Obviously, they're 0-1. They lost at Minnesota today. So they're going to be fired up for this one. And we'll get into that game next as the week goes on. But it's going to be a tough game. I mean, you are playing a tougher opponent next week, particularly offensively. With Matty Ice and Julio Jones and company there in Atlanta, they have a lot of weapons. It sets up for a shootout type of game, which means it will probably be a low-scoring game. That's usually how it works out, right? But look, Eagles, great job in the second half. Came back, got a win. D-Jack's welcome back, his welcome back party. Over 150 yards, 2 scores, 2 bombs from Wentz on 3rd and 10s. Great to see. Great to see number 10 back in Eagles green, doing his thing and wreaking havoc. And look, that's what you need, right? One of the things that opened things up for this offense was that touchdown that made it at that point. Yeah, I mean, it was 17-7, but it opened things up because now a defense has to respect it. All right, now that you show it, now defense says, uh-oh, now we got to watch out for this guy. He's watch him, right? It opens things up for everyone else. And this is one of the things that I said before in the first vid for this series, this season, last week. But I did say that that's the one thing that I felt was missing on this offense all year last year was that burner. That guy's just going to burn a defense that gets open. And D-Jax wrecks havoc. We all know this. Particularly against his former teams. It's a shame we don't play Tampa this year. But no, it's great to have that. Hopefully he stays healthy. Hopefully Carson stays healthy. Again, through 1 week, so far so good with the health. And we'll take it. We'll take this victory. Sunday night football next week, week 2, at Atlanta. Should be a very good game, interesting storylines in that game. Obviously, the Falcons haven't forgotten about the Eagles for the last few years and how those games ended against the Eagles the last few years in heartbreak fashion for them. Not so much for us, but no. Look, as I said before, and I'll say it again, a win's a win's a win. I'll take it. It's 1-0. It's an interdivision game. It's also 1-0 in division play. I know Dallas beat the Giants today at home, so we're 1-0. They're 1-0, and the Redskins and Giants are 0-1. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But obviously, early, very very early through 1 week. That's how the division is set up to this point. We'll see. But like I said, we got the win. 32-27 the final. Eagles win 1-0 to start the season. And we'll see what happens as we get to this next stop for the season, week 2 at Atlanta. All right, Eagles Nation. Eagles got the win. I already rang the wind chimes. I had the Eagles lights on earlier, watching the late games. Now, of course, we got the Sunday night game. This week's Sunday night game. The Patriots get to unfurl another banner, and the Steelers. And by the way, yes, Antonio goes to the. You just knew that was going to happen. You just, as soon as this whole thing started a couple days ago with Antonio with the Raiders, I'm like, somebody at work, a coworker of mine who's a Steelers fan at work, told me, he said, you watch, Raiders are going to release him, he's going to be with the Patriots. Raiders released him, he's on the Patriots. Sometimes there's just no justice in this world. But anyhow, hey, it makes it interesting. You know what? You can't say it doesn't. So yeah, and the Eagles do play the Patriots later in the season here. So we'll see how things shake out. I'm still holding my prediction though. Eagles Chiefs in Super Bowl 54. And that was pre-Antonio going to the Patriots, I know, but I'm still holding to that, and Festive's holding to it too. So anyhow, for Festive, this is Mighty Fan, and I'll see you in the next installment of Season of the Fan, Philadelphia Eagles 2019-2020 season. Season 6 of Season of the Fan, Philadelphia Eagles. Happy Eagles fan tonight. We get the win. Some things they got to get better at. They got to tighten the screws a bit here and there. Got to tighten the screws. But we move on to next week at Atlanta. Eagles, again, 1-0, off to a good start so far on the season. And a comeback win at home against a division rival, which is always good. All right, everyone, take care. Go Birds! And I'll see you in the next one.